Best deals anywhere.
Ooh. Hey pal, Trade Prince Gallywix here. You're holding this book in your hands because you want to be like me. Who wouldn't? There ain't a goblin alive more powerful and dangerous than me. I can give you everything you need to succeed. But first, a friendly, legally binding warning just for you. If you're reading this and haven't bought the book yet, that's stealing. You think that browsing is a victimless crime? You think that it's your right as a customer? You'd be dead wrong, deadbeat. It's freeloaders like you who drove down my profit margin last year and kept me from adding an edible furniture wing onto my mansion. Now instead of chocolate couches with funnel cake pillows I deserve, I have furniture made of silk. Have you ever tried to eat silk? You even know where that stuff comes from? A worm's cake hole, that's where. You need to fix this. Buy my book, or my exploding assassins will hunt you down like the thieving bilge rat you are. What, you doubt me? Have we met? You don't become trade prince by making empty threats. This spot ain't hereditary like that cushy king job those pink-skinned humans get. If I told you 32 spies were watching you lick your lips nervously right now, you'd better believe it, pal. Don't bother looking around, you won't see them. Stop wasting my time and risking your life. 20,000 gold is a cheap price to pay for my life story. And if you read past this sentence without buying the book, I'll devote every inch of my empire to destroying you. Do you understand me? Good. Now pay the damn salesman. Done? You sure? Great. Well, thanks for buying my book, sucker. You wanna be a trade prince? I want an army of fell reavers with my face painted over their fists, but negotiations with the Burning Legion fell through, so I guess neither one of us is gonna get what we want. Why can't you be a trade prince? Because all the slots are filled by goblins better than you, that's why. You ain't ready yet, but don't worry, you came to the right goblin for help. You may have heard a few rumors about me. Gallywix became trade prince by blowing up, selling out, or just selling everyone he knew. When Mount Kajaro erupted, Gallywix had the only boat, and he charged refugees the low price of their life savings. He packed the stars of Goblin aristocracy like sausages in the hold and tried to sell them into slavery. That monster Gallywix betrayed his entire race for a bazillion macaroons. Kinda terrible, huh? Guess what? It's all true. Why would I lie about that? I never cover up things I'm proud of. If the world was gonna split in half tomorrow, I'd buy the Dark Portal, slap a toll booth on it, and charge refugees the last of their pocket change, the rings off their fingers, the bite of their sandwiches, and a contractual obligation to build me a rocket palace in the skies in the Grand. It's the Goblin way, supply and demand, deal with it. But hey, you pay for your ticket, and this is what you get. The free secrets of the greatest trade prince this mudbowl has ever seen. They won't take long to tell. In fact, if you flip through the book, you'll find that the last 300 pages are copies of old newspapers and recipes for fish jerky. Sorry, pal, no refunds. Oh, man. On the day I turned 10, I took over the family tinkering business and the local crime syndicate. It was easier than selling a mirror to a blood elf. Pay close attention. My birthday began the way every morning did. My pop almost killed me. Not that he ever meant to. In fact, that was kind of the problem with him. Nothing he did ever went the way he wanted, which is no joke when you work with explosives. The only shop he could swing was so deep in the bad part of Drudgetown slums that even Trade Prince Maldy's tax collectors weren't safe. The last one to visit got scammed out of his boots, jumped, insulted, tied to a gunpowder barrel, and rolled back to the old goblin with a polite refusal letter between his teeth. My pop saw the lack of taxes as a fringe benefit. I saw the muddy streets and the irradiated garbage. Even the rats were moving out. My pop thought he was gonna make it big someday with a world-shaking invention. I knew it was only a matter of time before he blew us up, and I had decided the night before to run away and become a pirate like my ma. I'd spent all night packing and planning. My pop got up around dawn and started messing around in the shop talking to himself. His research and development process had 3 stages: optimism, concern, and panic, and the third one could leave you short a few fingers and most of your skin. He was at 2.9 when I tied my pack closed and rammed it under my moldy mattress. Come on. Just a little bit tighter. Tighter. Whoops. Uh-oh. Oh no. No. Stop. Kid, wake up and grab some cover. You okay, kiddo? Did you see it? A perfect test. Horizontal burn, target locked on, a gyroscopic spin, and detonation. The unit sets using microbombs for navigation and rocket fuel for thrust will melt the entire neighborhood, but we showed... That was the only prototype, right? Well, yeah, but... And the blueprints were? Stolen by a mechanical chicken. So you can't build it again, right? He opened his mouth for a snappy comeback, then his eyes widened in horror. I nodded. The morning routine was complete. Time to get some breakfast and hit the road. Doesn't matter, kiddo. I understand the principle now. Explosives, hidden, and lovable objects are a completely unexplored market. We're gonna be rich! Pop, the only way we're gonna stop being poor is if you blow us up. That's not fair, Jaster. It's only a matter of time. You know what? You're right. You will kill us both someday, Pop. I believe in you. Hey, there's plenty of goblin kids out there who wish their parents were tinkers. When I was your age, I used to dream... Really, Pop? This story again? My parents would quit shoveling sewers and blow a few things up. You worry me when you talk about being afraid of explosions. It's not Goblin. No. You know what's not Goblin? Having a kid and telling him to go play. You know what the problem is? There's no one to play with. Jokey has to spend all day braiding fuses. Gerard wakes up at dawn to mix cement. Do you know how embarrassing it is that my own pop won't force me to work for him? Tell you what, why don't you leave running the business to me, and I'll leave the sugar pack cookie over here for the first kid with a birthday who comes by. I'm pretty sure you guys sell things once in a while to have a business. I shouted after him, but my heart wasn't in it. Sugar pack, shout for the road. You think you can do better? You can try anytime you want. Oh, hello, gents. My pop had customers, sounded like. I took it as a good omen for my trip. If something as unlikely as business could occur in my pop shop, I'd have no problem finding a ship out of Kazan. Hell, I could probably find a tame shark who'd take me to a magical island made of cupcakes and platinum. I stomped down the hall for the cookie. The Sugar Pack Bakery ain't around anymore. A few years before the orcs arrived in Azeroth, the corner shop was slightly bombed during Trade War II, thoroughly bombed in Trade War IV, and melted during the Peace War. The whole neighborhood smelled like burnt sugar and body parts for a month. But here's the thing. If you've never had cookies from the Sugar Pack Bakery, you've never had real cookies. Period. They were big enough to hold in 2 hands and a little browner on the other edge. Chocolate chunks the size of an ogre's fist, touch of cinnamon and crystal sugar, and I only got 1 a year. I froze near the end of the hallway and hid in the half-shadows. I should have known better. No customers. Schizo and his goons were trying to shake down my pop again. In Drudge Town, even the criminals were nearly broke, and the Copper Street gang was no exception. I can still see that idiot Schizo with his fake gold earrings and smelly patchwork suit. The only worthwhile thing he ever did was tangle with me. What are we gonna do with you, Luzik? You never pay us on time. You never pay us at all. I would hate to have Lumpo come back here tomorrow and blow up. Look, I'm sorry. Money's been tight. I barely have enough money for supplies. And sweets, looks like. Schizo said, reaching past him to snatch up my cookie. Pay me everything you owe back for Mike. Or I'll burn down your shop and charge you for the profits. And that was it. If not for that cookie, I would have run away to be a lowly pirate king in the South Seas, and the world would be a very different place. I staggered into the shop. Pop was talking to me. I couldn't hear him over the blood thumping in my ears. I could have left Kazan if I'd wanted, but that wasn't what was wrong here. My Pop had let cheap thugs take things from him. I'd let them take the cookie from me. That was the problem. That was why we were poor. Sure, Schizo had a gang. Sure, he had weapons in numbers. But I had something ballooning up inside my head like a fleet of zeppelins attacking the Null hut. A code, old sharp edges, and old parts. This business was my pop's. This business was mine. That cookie was mine. I didn't blame Schizo for trying, but no one was gonna take what was mine, no matter the cost. 10 minutes later, I was across town with one of Schizo's loan sharks, surrounded by cigar smoke and smirking bruises. Let me get it straight. You owed a bunch of money, and you want to borrow from him to pay him back. Yes. With interest? Whatever you think is fair. Okay, Ron. But I think you know why your dad is in trouble. Business sense must not run in your family at all. The only thing that gets around Goblin Society faster than a new Gunpowder Girls calendar is the possibility of public humiliation. Schizo came back that night with his entire gang, loan sharks included. All along Copper Street, doors opened as our loyal neighbors leaned out to watch the Tinker and his idiot son lose the last of their money and get driven out of town. Only Pop was gone. He'd gone to get another cookie, which is just like him. Well-meaning but totally missing the point. This wasn't about cookies anymore. You got my money, kid? With interest. Schizo snatched the bag from my hand, patted me on the head, and ambled back down the street with his gang. That's right, he didn't even count the money. How this guy ran anything more complicated than a sausage stand is still beyond me. Nice doing business with you, kid. Won't carry the bag, it's too damn heavy. That'd be the dynamite. Cameras wouldn't be invented until some years later, but I'd still kill for a snapshot of Schizo and his goons gaping at me the second before the bomb stuffed and the cash ran off. When the smoke cleared, the entire gang was gone. In eerie unison, my gawky neighbors stared at the smoking crater, then back at me. I smiled and pointed up at the sky, hundreds of eyes at bay looking up. Schizo, his gang, and his flaming money were raining from the sky. I strolled across the street to Bezok the brickmaker, the whooping of my neighbors putting a little skip in my step. Sure, the trick had cost the rest of Pop's money to cover the interest in the dynamite, but those 400 macaroons were gonna be chump change by the end of the week. Wow, said Bezok as goblins filled from every crooked doorway and greasy alley for the world's most disgusting treasure hunt, looking for undamaged macaroons. Way to show him, kid. We're free. It won't last. There's a void. Other gangs will move in once they hear Schizo is gone. We gotta incorporate for protection. Establish and guard trade routes. Yeah, great idea. Maybe someday we can... No, come over tomorrow morning and I'll have a contract ready. You can stay in charge of production, alright? I'll take the boring business stuff out of your hands. Huh? Wait, you think you can run my business? Listen here, kid. Boom. Boom? Boom. Why are you saying boom? I just like saying boom. Look, come over tomorrow morning. You won't even notice I'm in charge until you realize how much money you're making. Bezok wasn't a coward. He was struggling to pay the bills. And people like that are always looking for a quick and unexpected way to make macaroons. You know what, kid? Why not? I can get out of it later if I want, right? Sure, I'll adjust the contract for that. He just have to leave his business behind, pay me a yearly management fee, and climb into a bear suit 3 times a week to advertise for Pop's upcoming line of exploding lovables. I left Bezok as he was dragging out a ladder to reach the macaroon bonfire on his roof and swaggered home. When my pop came back, I was busy writing my first contract in letters so small, an ad with glasses couldn't read them. Contracts are easy to write if you focus on cheating the poor fools who are gonna sign them. And if you remember that most everyone believes the small print is there to be scanned before you sign, rather than shown to 10 lawyers, tested in a court, then dismantled word by word, then detonated in a controlled environment. I can do better. What? You asked me if I thought I could run your business better. I can. By tomorrow morning we're gonna have access to Bezok's cash and more from there. But I need you to sign over everything to me. He was quiet for a long time. I used the silence to get a few more lines down. You definitely take after your ma. Okay, you got a week. If we don't see enough of a profit to buy more dynamite, you're gonna have to work it off, alright? Yeah, he thought he was setting me up to fail and learn a valuable lesson, but he left me alone with my new cookie and my work. The cookie went stale by the third draft, and I decided to keep it as a reminder. Still have it, in fact. By the time Pop's deadline rolled around, half of the businesses on the block had joined my Copper Street Conglomerate. I'd moved out by then, but I sent him 3 crates of dynamite, a blast suit, and a bonus. Yeah, you're right, that was a little soft. But remember, I was 10, genius. I made my first million macaroons right around the time that you caught this class from swimming through the toxic oil around Gazak Oatburner's Healthy Foods factory. Besides, he was my pop, and I take care of things that are mine. Years passed. I'm not gonna give you a detailed receipt of all the businesses I took over, started, sold, or destroyed. I won, that's all. I won everything I wanted. Not because of luck, no, luck doesn't exist. Luck is for losers. If you move big, fast, and hard enough to carve yourself a place in the world, everyone else will bend over backwards to give you everything you want just for the thrill of being part of your success. Well, most everyone. Occasionally you're gonna run into other big movers, and they'll cut you down like a sacred tree at a venture company login party if you don't do it to them first. Back during the Second War, I was Kazan's rising star, president of the massive Copper Street Conglomerate, advisor to the Tinkers Union, big Goblin in the Trade Coalition, and the second richest guy in the Bilgewater Cartel. Trade Prince Maldy decided he wanted to meet his possible competition, so he sent me an invitation to his daughter's birthday party at his manor. The old Goblin was as popular as a bar of soap on a pirate ship. Trade Prince Steamwader was rumored to be making a mint from his alleged exclusivity contract with the Horde. Maldy thought if things went south for the Horde, the Alliance would turn on us next. He clamped down hard on trading, making sure that Bilgewater had enough supplies and money to weather a financial siege and bend the other cartels over a spiky barrel. Solid move, but here's the problem. Your average goblin doesn't like cautious. Cautious is boring. The moguls and financiers of Bilgewater had decided they wanted a younger, more aggressive trade prince in Maldy's place. Guess who? 6 months of backroom planning had gone into that night, long before Maldy had even sent the invite. Every angle was covered, every palm greased. Even the other trade princes had given their secret approval, if only because they liked having inexperienced competition. Success was inevitable. I was gonna be a trade prince by sunrise. I strolled up the path to Maldy's manor. Thissy Steeltack, my personal assistant, raised up to me. Years later, I'd have to fire her for paying assassins to kill me in my swimming pool. She was magnificent.
I broke into Maldy's desk, sir. He hid the key under a falcon statue. I found his research on what the other trade princes are up to.
Great. Maldy was getting soft if he was leaving that sort of thing lying around. What are you doing? We gotta copy them if we're gonna stay competitive.
Building mercenary armies.
Useful. Send a gift basket full of gold to the South Sea freebooters.
Metal or chocolate, sir?
Chocolate. They're gonna bite it anyway. Might as well give them a treat. What else?
Perfume.
Perfume?
Trade Prince Donace is really into it, sir.
Okay, let me save you some time. Everything that's on that list, get someone who works for me to do it. Get out of here. I have a party to attend. Thissy nodded once and took off. I got 3 steps closer to the manor before Riddlevox, director of the Tinkers Union, jumped out of a bush. You remember the plan? I wrote the plan. I'd based it on Trade Prince Maldy's big weakness. He actually loved his daughter. If you're a trade prince, you can't afford close family members or friends. Chum and chump sound the same for a reason. My pop was the exception, of course. He had the ambition of soggy wood. Besides, anyone who tried to kidnap him to threaten me found out if a goblin could be crammed into a cannon and shot safely from Kazan to Booty Bay. Don't screw this up, Gallywix. And don't get any ideas. You may get to be called Trade Prince, but you'll work for us, understand? You got it, boss. In your dreams, idiot. The guard at the edge of the dance floor waved me past with a slight nod. I'd spent 2 months replacing Trade Prince Molly's bodyguards with my own mercenaries. I sauntered on through. Ever had everyone at a party turn and cheer as you came in? No? I recommend it. 100 goblins tried to catch my eye or give me a drink. I ignored them and skimmed a handful of lobstruck puffs off a passing tray. I had work to do here. I'd never met the Trade Prince's daughter, Nessa. My researcher had said she'd bought a blue dress and a diamond dragonfly haircut for the party. He'd added that she looked stunning. I fired him naturally. But when I saw Nessa from across the party, I realized that for the first time in my life, I owed someone an apology. She was so beautiful that you'd believe she was getting paid overtime for it. Skin the color of deep sea green, eyes as dark as midnight in an emerald mine. The shine of her coiled hair made the diamond clip look cheap. An invisible hand pulled me by the lungs through the crowd to her. I couldn't be stopped. I knew that I had to get back in control here. Plan A depended on my getting her away from the party and into the hands of the kidnap squad, so that Molly would surrender without a fight. "Wanna dance?" I said, tossing Plan A out the window.
Why not? Nanderks here is boring the life out of me.
I spun her away from the devastated little banker towards the middle of the dance floor. We chatted as we danced, but I couldn't tell you about what. I felt drunk. My ambitions were in big trouble. If I moved against her father, I'd lose my chance at her. And let me tell you, her beauty was even more staggering up close. I had to play it cool. "Marry me."
But I barely know you, Mr. Gallywix.
I can fix that. I'm...
President of the massive Copper Street Conglomerate, advisor to the Tinkers Union, big goblin in the Trade Coalition, and the second richest guy in the Bilgewater Cartel.
She'd read my press release.
But I can't marry you. Sure, you've gotten lucky a few times, but I'd like ruthless goblins, risk takers.
I was speechless for a few seconds. I'm not very good at speechless though, so I recovered. I told her about my early days, waved newspaper clippings in her face about mysterious hospital fires and orphan extortion, gave directions to where the literal bodies were buried, and from there dove into the really nasty stuff. She listened, cocking her head to one side. Occasionally she smiled. When I'd finished, she shrugged and said,
That's a good start, I guess.
"What a dame, right? Up until then, I'd actually felt guilty. No, really, about Plan B. But I was suddenly sure that it was the way to win her over. She wanted a really ruthless goblin. I practically had her blessing. I didn't notice the commotion behind me until a cane wrapped my shoulder. I glared back at... Oops. So you're the one who's been monopolizing my daughter, young Gallywix," Trade Prince Mally said. Silence fell over the party. These goblins had seen enough high-class backstabbery to know something was coming. "Pleasure to finally meet you. Get your hands off the merchandise." "Sorry, sir." "Thank you. I heard that my security forces burned down your counterfeiting factory last month. Hope you didn't take it personally. Just business." "Don't say just, sir. It sounds like an apology." "I knew I liked you. Are you enjoying my daughter's party?" "Her party? Not anymore. It's mine now." "What?" "As the son said today, I own a majority of your holdings in the Trade Coalition through 100 false fronts and small businesses. You could check, but I've bought off your administration, so you don't want to trust them. I own your security force. I sold the land under your house, and you rented those rings from one of my shops. You're done, Moldy. You're done, and everyone knows it." "My shipment. Half of my fleet is setting sail right now with a weapon shipment to the Alliance. I'll make a fortune and buy everything back." "I'm glad you mentioned that. I bought a show for your guests. Push the button." "No." "Well, you don't like surprises? You afraid? I thought trade princes were supposed to have guts. Push the button, Moldy." Down in the harbor, each ship in his trade fleet exploded into roaring walls of fire in perfect alphabetical order. Winking at Molly's shock, I snatched the cane out of his hand, drew the sword my researcher had told me was in there, and leveled it at Nessa. So, you got an hour to get off Kazan before I ventilate your daughter and drop you headfirst into Mount Kajaro. How's that for ruthless? Too much? I dropped the blade and raised 2 hands and 4 fingers in the traditional Goblin symbol for complete and utter victory. The guests, my guests, roared their approval, rushing forward to hammer my back and congratulate me while slipping business cards and bribes into my pockets. I didn't look any of them in the eye. Instead, I watched Nessa lead her father all the way down the hill outside the manor. That was more than 20 years ago. You might be wondering if I have any regrets. Sure, I exiled the love of my life within 10 minutes of meeting her and arranged the later, thoroughly accidental death of my never-to-be father-in-law. Everyone I've ever known has tried to betray me. I am alone. Ha! Right. Oh no, my limitless wealth and power are all I have. How tragic. Send me sympathy money. Just so you know, I send Nessa a new painting every year of me enjoying my riches. She sends me plain boxes wired with explosives. Who says long-distance relationships don't work? After years of writing the fine print, my hand cramps pretty easily, so I'm gonna wrap this up. You know a lot of my secrets now, but don't fool yourself. You're never gonna beat me. There's never been a trap I could turn to my advantage. Even when that goblin I'm not gonna name tried to get that brute of an orc thrall to kill me, I still ended up on top. Literally. Have you seen my new place? A palace on top of a mountain in Ashara? Ocean views, grenade golf course, secret booze cellar, sultry flames in the pool? No, of course you haven't. Losers aren't welcome on my property. But hey, I'm not fooling myself. I know I won't live forever. Have you looked out a window lately? This planet's cracked like an eggshell. Ashara could be underwater tomorrow. You brought my book, which makes us pals, right? Right. So in the unlikely event that you live longer than me, there's only one thing you need to do to take over the Goblin race. Win. That's really it. I told you that you need to hold on to what's yours, be ruthless, and have a palace to be ruthless in. But if you want to be me, kiddo, you gotta see everything as yours for the taking. And you have to do anything and everything to grab it. But how do I get rich, Trade Prince Gallywix? Good question, pal. Unfortunately, that's a whole different book, and as you might have noticed, I ain't in the habit of giving things away for free. I'll tell you what. Just start sending your money, jewelry, fried delicacies, and exotic animals to my pleasure palace. When I decide you've paid enough, I'll mail out a copy of Getting Rich the Gallywix Way, and you got my personal guarantee that there's no fish jerky scam in that book. I look forward to doing business with you, chum.